Jenae,
Hey, what's up, Boss family?
how you doing on today?
Well, I was doing good till I saw that slaw episode. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was doing really well. I got 2 naps in today. I usually don't get that. You know what I'm saying? Till I saw this episode today, I did have a good day.
Well, first let's address the two naps. Two naps is called sleep. Okay, wait a minute. Why you said two naps? Like what? You went to sleep. Like what? The worry you probably went to bed at 11 and woke up at 7. That's sleep first and foremost. But I'm glad you got your rest on today. So yeah, like Grownish was terrible. I think that you're gonna understand the vibe of where I'm going. But I talked all about it in the intro, so I want you to give us a rundown of how Grownish was.
Okay, so we weren't here last week. So if you guys don't remember from last week, they pretty much were ending their vacation in Mexico. And the vet hinted that, oh, there's a virus that just came from, I want to say they said Asia or whatever, and it's coming to America. You know how at first people weren't taking the virus seriously until we realized it was going to be a whole pandemic. So what we thought was that, okay, so the next episode, they're really going to cover the pandemic. They'll talk about how people were dying, that our president, quote unquote, foreign president Donald Trump didn't do a good job of communicating the severity of the virus to the American people. There's just so many different things that they could have tackled, even vaccines. Well, granted, maybe not vaccines because we were still confused about the virus ourselves, but there's just so many different angles that the show could have taken to talk about the severity of COVID-19, even people losing their lives. Like I even lost my grandfather to COVID. So just talking about the severity of COVID-19 could have been like a really big moment for the show and for Kenya Barris, because even in Blackish, they talked about COVID-19 and how people who were first line on defense had to be there and were literally fighting for their lives so people die in front of them. And instead, they just pretty much glossed over it. Like the COVID as a whole was just like an appetizer, and relationships were literally the main course meal. So let's get into this episode and why I think it was slaw. So of course I think it's slaw because I don't think they talked about the severity of COVID-19. I think that was just a ball dropped on their part. And then this episode pretty much starts out with Zoe comes back to school. They're all back in school, getting ready for senior year. They're excited to be back or whatever. They do mention that they weren't there on the fall semester, just how most colleges weren't in person for the fall semester, but they were back in person. Everything was fine. In the spring semester, yet nobody was wearing a mask. There was barely any social distancing. Like they had the signs up, but like nobody had a mask. Nobody was any type of social distance. Like it looked like COVID didn't exist in the world. Furthermore, in the episode, Zoe's trying to get an internship and she has to go through Rochelle. And Rochelle, if you guys don't remember, is Aaron's ex. And she's going there trying to get an internship, and Rochelle's acting regular chill. Like, okay, it's going to be hard to get an internship because people who had internships last year are going to get placed for this upcoming year. And it's just hard, especially depending on the field you're in. Internships are just hard to come by. But she was like, you know what, we're going to do what we have to do to get you an internship. And Zoe was like, oh, well, I'm surprised you're trying to help me. And Rochelle's like, why would you be surprised I'm trying to help you? Like, it's my job to get students internships. So she was like, oh, well, now she goes to this thing. Well, oh, should I tell her that, me and Aaron are together and I feel bad because she's helping me find internships. So I should tell her that me and her ex are dating. And then Aaron's like, well, no, I didn't tell her, but it's not that deep. Like, what's the purpose of telling her, like, me and you are together now? We don't go together no more. What's the purpose of you trying to tell her, oh, we date just because she's helping you? Whatever, it is what it is. Do your job. So now it's this whole battle throughout the episode of, oh, should I tell Rochelle? Should I not tell Rochelle? Will I be wrong? Da, 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 da. So eventually she goes and tells Rochelle at her job, by the way. Mind you, she's at her job talking about oh, well, I just want to tell you that me and Aaron, we're together. I feel so bad. I just want to tell you because, you're helping me and everything. And I would just feel wrong. And she's like, you didn't think that I knew you and my ex, who y'all been together for 6 months, you didn't think I knew y'all was together? Like, I'm here to get students internships. I could care less about your relationship. And matter of fact, since we're talking about it, you told me that y'all were in this. I even asked you to step away from him so that way we can have a relationship. You said that's fine, but then you go and have sex with him. And then you go and be with him. So I honestly don't have nothing to say to you. I don't want to talk to you. I'm only having a conversation with you because I'm helping you get an internship, because that's my job. Anything else outside of that is a non-factor. And Zoe felt a type of way that she didn't want to be cool with the girl no more. And then she says, well, Rochelle says, bye, bitch. And when I tell you, if y'all saw the episode, it was the most forced by bitch I have ever seen in my life. I have seen girls go at it over stupid, worse stuff, like worse stuff. And she says, bye, bitch. And then Zoe don't do nothing. Like, that would have been an automatic fight. So that was
Well, I'll just say this. Zoe was never going to do anything
right.
because, and that whole entire crew is a bunch of girls that ain't about that action. Because let's not forget, because I remember I watched season 2 when Zoe found out that Anna and Aaron were like creeping around, like sneaky link is the word we use now. And they were like each other, sneaky link. And then literally Anna's like, I wonder how Zoe feels. And then Zoe goes up and like drinks the milk and pours it in her cereal. She would have got knocked out then in real life. And then it was that point in time where you had Jazz, like they had beef over Doug. And then whole entire thing, I think of her, she did something with Zoe's drink and Zoe did nothing. So I definitely expected for nothing to happen. Like Zoe not about that action. I'm telling you this much. This is how we know that they omit some things from the real world in Grownish. And I'm just going to go through some of my tweets. But I got to skip a tweet. So Zoe would never wear pink and green on the HBCU campus and not be Greek. Because first and foremost, she would have to fight. Like the fight would have happened before Rochelle, okay? She would have got caught on that yard. Don't walk by the plot. All right. She would have been on the ground from jump. So that's just the first thing. So that's the first unreal. But like 5 seconds in, she has on this pink top, these green pants, and like these white bows, like she's a present to the world. Like, no, you're not at this point. But keep going. This you giving my viewpoint too. Keep going. I'm listening.
That was another thing too. Like, granted, of course, like colors are colors, and but if like pink and green, like that's a notable AKA color, like yeah. Literally, like that's their colors. So like, and my thing is, Kenya Bears goes to an HBCU, so you're aware of the Divine Nine, and you're aware of the Divine Nine colors. Now, don't get me wrong, the Divine Nine colors are pretty common colors, yeah. Green, blue, and white, red, crimson, cream, whatever. But don't do that. Like, what? So moving forward throughout the episode, we also talk about, mind you, they're not talking about COVID, so let's keep this in mind. The next thing they talk about is Jazz. So Jazz doesn't want to run track anymore. Who didn't see that coming? Like, who didn't see that coming? So she was actually in practice, and this dude that was their teammate came back and everything. He came back because he was gay, but he took a leave of absence because of his mental health. And she was like, so wait, you didn't lose your scholarship? And he was like, nah, because, my mental health. So she's trying to use that as an excuse to not run track anymore. But the whole issue is, you're a whole senior, you're finna graduate. Just run your last little year and keep pushing. But the only reason she was even tripping about it is because her coach said, well, if you keep these times up, 2024 Olympics looks good for you. And I guess that scared her because she doesn't want to commit to that, which of course I get. Committing to the Olympics is big. It's big. Like, it's the Olympics. So of course that's going to be a huge time commitment. But it's your senior year of college, and you're on a scholarship. You don't have no money to pay for that last semester, no way. So just run. So now she wants to quit, and now she's trying to say that, she's crazy and she has mental issues, so she doesn't want to run anymore. And that's obviously not going to work out for her. So I'm interested to see if they even choose that storyline of changing careers or changing lives. Because I would rather it be she wants to change her major and she realizes she doesn't want to go into the field she's studying for, than her not running track. Like, that was her whole storyline for 4 years. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So that was the issue. And then the next thing we kind of go into is Vivek. So if you guys don't remember, Vivek is actually still going through a case right now because he got busted with drugs. So right now he has to go to community service. So to the outside world, we're thinking, okay, maybe his punishment or consequence was community service, nothing more, nothing less. And then at the end of the episode, we actually find out that Vivek is going to get expelled from the university, which, I mean, that's what happens when you have drugs. Like, you get stuff from college, but usually in some schools, like, you can have a case and your case just remain open. But if you get caught again, then they'll actually suspend you. So I wonder if they're going to actually play on that instead of just suspending the character, because that usually what happens in real life. But yeah, so that's pretty much the episode. So you see how everything I mentioned had nothing to do with COVID-19 or the severity of COVID-19. And they introduced it like as a COVID episode. So, boom.
Yeah, and it was a part of the description. And I just want to, and I would play what I said last week, but you got me live right now. So I'm just going to break down essentially what I said on last week in my review. And if you guys want to catch up on it, go subscribe to Post Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, because we didn't go live last week. So with COVID, so this is the part that really confuses me. So Grownish started in 2017. And we saw allusions to Donald Trump as president. We saw Kanye West. We saw Beyonce. We saw what the start of like season 3, they did this whole entire Beyonce inspired homecoming party. So these are popular culture customs that you see sprinkled through Grownish, just like Blackish. Nothing wrong with that, except the homecoming one. That was bad. But nothing wrong with talking about Donald Trump, Kanye West, Beyonce. Nothing's wrong with that. So we've been in sort of like modern day with Grownish for a minute. And then, of course, we have the situation with COVID. So season 3 was cut up because they took a mid-season break, and then it didn't come back because of the pandemic. I get it. So they delay it, and they bring it back this year. Understandable. The episodes were trash. It was no continuity. And I think all of us were ready to see how the Grownish cast would react to COVID. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Season 3, the end of season 3 was bad, but it was because they had to can those episodes and put them out later, just trying to savor the moment. So I'll let them be. All right. I want to see what they do season 4. They have plenty of time. And you start off with them in Mexico, no mention of COVID, and it's a whole novella at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole Young and the Restless at this point. And I'm like, okay, what's sort of interesting? The SG storyline was interesting, all these different things. Then you have a terrible episode the next week. And then all of a sudden you're in Mexico, and all of a sudden, oh, hey, it's this virus that's taking over the U.S. Oh, really? Hey, it's not anything too bad. Okay, so let's just do the timing. So COVID was in March 2020 is when everything got shut down, and Trump declared a national emergency. NBA shuts down. Rudy Gobert contracts it, passes along Donovan Mitchell. Big story, right? So everything is shut down. Everybody was in college. I graduated December 2019, so I was at home, so I was good anyway. But everybody left that was in college, right? So that was March 2020. Spring break happens, you don't come back. You move into the summer. So COVID is still a big thing. Then George Floyd happened. So this is summer 2020. You get back to campus, and some campuses are like, listen, you can come back on campus with restrictions, not going to be any large gatherings, any big events. Some schools stay online. Okay. And then you move into this next semester, which is spring 2021. It's, vaccines are coming up. Got Joe Biden as the president. People are starting to get vaccinated, and people are just finishing up the school year. Spring football happens. Now we're here. That's the COVID timeline in a nutshell. So tell me how they don't know about COVID in Mexico. They go to Mexico, don't know about COVID, and then their fall semester is somehow canceled, and I guess it's spring 2021. Like that, and also it's the Olympics. So make it make sense. Can someone make it make sense for me how they did not know about COVID at all until they were in Mexico? They were able to get back to the United States without getting sick, without having a mask on, without anything, and all of a sudden now, well, COVID, I'm gonna put some hand sanitizer on, like I'm protected like the Pfizer vaccine. With the corny jokes, man. Can someone explain that to me? The COVID storyline still doesn't make sense, and folks were like, "Oh, well, Randall, you nitpicking. Why don't you like the show?" Because it don't make sense. It doesn't make like how are you going to stay true to popular culture and then jettison past the most popular part of the popular culture that has happened? And then on top of this, now granted for me, I did not watch the whole pandemic season of Blackish, and I got to catch up on that. But was Zoe in those episodes? Because she even said, I think in the intro that, hey, we had to do schooling from our childhood rooms. I didn't see Zoe in the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole pandemic episode of Blackish. I watched enough though, a nice majority. I probably missed like 5 episodes. Mm-hmm. But Zoe was not in none of those episodes. It really just covered the twins and Junior and Devontae, and then just a couple. It didn't even cover Zoe. She wasn't even mentioned in these episodes. So I don't know if that was their way of trying to be up on the pop culture. Like people had to go home and live in their childhood rooms for a semester, but you weren't even in Blackish.
They're not making it make sense, and that is my big thing. Like, at the very least, have some continuity. Like, I know people don't even like wrestling anymore, WWE, but at the very least, they have continuity. They have stuff where it's like, hey, John Cena, like, if you don't like Roman Reigns, act like it on Twitter. Like they acted out like that. I'm like, dude, like y'all can't have any connection even between your parent franchise, which is Blackish. That's just the part that ticks me off, is that they're able to succeed and people are able to watch them and they're not trying anymore. And it clearly is showing because COVID and whatever everything that happened in last summer and the presidential election is giving you a smorgasbord of content to talk about, but you're not.
Yeah.
That's my problem. So even before we get into even the other parts of the episode where it devolved right into the whole entire relationships, Rochelle, should I tell her? Like before it devolved into that, it was like, dude, y'all are not making sense. It's giving, I'm writing this just because I'm going to get paid. That's what it's giving. Like the passion is gone. Like, and I feel like the actors realize none of this makes sense, but they're doing it because it's like, man, well, it's a pandemic. I need the money. At this point, it's like, dude, I don't think they care anymore. And here's a perfect example. Did y'all see Halle when she popped up in a clearly pre-recorded video? They got Halle shooting her scenes for Little Mermaid like 15 times. Like she was not Sky in this episode. She was Halle. Okay, like she over there, she talking like Halle. Like she over there with the towel on. They were like, hey, listen, we need you for this episode real quick. Just talk to your sister. Okay, I just got in the shower, but hold up, I can do it. Let me go and record real quick on my iPhone. Like literally, like she didn't even have any conviction. And Jenae, when she was doing the recap, acted better than Halle. I'm like, what? Like she always getting into the characters. I'm like, well, this was better than what Halle did. So it's like the effort is gone. It's just like they're trying to stretch it out for money, and just because Freeform was like, listen, this is doing good on streaming. People are watching the streaming. You know, we got, some popular, actors in it and actresses in it. Let's just keep it going. It is just asinine to me. And I'm not even gotten to the storyline, which was insane. But Jenae, does that make sense? Do you understand the frustration that I have?
Well, definitely. Well, as a mass comm major, like the biggest thing is show don't tell, and everything has to make sense.
Exactly.
So first off, like the line when she said, I protected like the Pfizer vaccine, ain't wrong. Like that was whack, like corny. What that just didn't make sense as a whole. And then what's saying? And I don't know, like then on top of that, like the timeline didn't make sense. Like, why does Jazz want to quit track your senior year of college? Like, and then my thing is, if it's that spring semester, don't all y'all graduate? I haven't heard nobody talk about graduation. Last time I mentioned that was when Aaron was graduating. And like,
and why is Aaron still kicking it with them like they ain't a grown man?
Well, Aaron still getting his master's, like from, but they don't even talk. They don't talk about that.
Still, he's kicking it around folks that are in undergrad. He's dating a girl that's an undergrad. He's getting his master's. They're never in class. He never is doing anything because he's supposed to be working for the school too, to sort of like defer his tuition. Haven't seen him work for the school at all. They just got back from med school. Randall just got back from med school. I get it, but at the same time, it's like the storylines aren't even fully connecting. So let's get into the storylines. I don't know how much time we want to spend on this coleslaw, as you call it. Okay, it's because I hated coleslaw. So when you said slaw, it just summoned in my mind that real sour taste that I would taste when my mom would bring in Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he'd like, try the coleslaw, Randall, and I tasted it, and I'm like, man, I get that napkin, and I do what I do in that napkin, and I'm like, oh, that was good. You know what I'm saying? But we're not gonna lie today. All right, so. I tweeted a couple of things on the HBCU post. Follow us on Twitter. And, this is the first thing I said, and we talked about it. I see what Grownish tried to do. The storyline still doesn't make sense. They were just like, how do we insert COVID into this? I feel like they wrote the episode and was like, okay. So I feel like if we don't put COVID in, that's opening us up to get criticized. So how do we stick COVID in here to make it make sense? It didn't. Of course, we talked about Zoe being a K this episode. Okay, I'm pretty sure she's gonna be adults the next episode at this point. We're just gonna see what she does with the red and white at this point. So here's the thing that really got to me too. So this show, can we agree that this show is about relationships?
Yeah, it's not about college anymore. Like, I don't even remember the last episode I even saw them in the classroom. Like y'all not struggling, y'all don't have midterms, like nothing, like what's going on? Y'all not applying to grad school, like
at this point. And then like it's crazy because like COVID is just a side to relationships. This is why I tweeted. Like COVID is literally just an aside. Everything is an aside. Police brutality is going to be an aside. When Aaron, was trying to get them to defund from to divest from the prison system, that was a side to his relationship with Zoe. Like all these storylines that can be powerful, then are treated as side items like ketchup or water to this menu of relationships. And it's something that just, to me, doesn't make sense because it's so many powerful storylines they could have done with the divesting from the prisons, really getting into it. I feel like, it could have been an an SGA election. It could have been so many things that were done, but they decided to take the easy way out and just go consistently for relationships and not even make it make sense. And Zoe, I tweeted this, Zoe makes my skin crawl. Like, she literally makes my flesh crawl. Everything is always about her, especially when it comes to other people like Rochelle. Even the issue with Rochelle was like, oh, she doesn't like me? Is she mad at me? Maybe I should apologize so she can treat me better. Like, and oh, she's doing all of this for me, but does she know that I'm with Aaron? Like, everything, it doesn't go to, well, I did her dirty and I was wrong. I take full responsibility. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull her to the side and I'm going to apologize because I did wrong. I need to let her know I did wrong. No, that's not what she did. It's all about I, because she's like, well, if she's helping me, she should know that I took her man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, that didn't make any sense. Like, and here's the story. Here's the big thing I tweeted and I put it on post. And maybe the folks that are watching on HG Post Instagram Live right now came from this post. So this is the talk. I can write an episode of Grownish in a tweet. And this is what I did. The basis of Grownish is Zoe discovers something and has an anxiety attack because clearly she has anxiety. And she when she showed it in an episode where she fell out over Doug with Hallie, which one is it? Jazz. She fell out with Jazz. So we saw she had a bit of anxiety, had a whole anxiety panic attack on the stairs over a phone. So we know she has a level of anxiety, right? So she just has an anxiety attack. She goes and confronts whoever. Then her friends have an intervention. And they're like, listen, all right, here's what you need to do. Don't worry about it, X, Y, Z. And then somehow, some way, things always work in her favor. She never gets a consequence. But you'll be like, well, Randall, she got cussed out by Rochelle. No, because at the end of the day, who's she going back home to? Rochelle's ex. And then when she came back and pushed the white girl that was just trying to get her internship with who, Rachel Roy, who trying to get an internship with? Like Joey Black, what was that? Bill Black?
Something like that. It was some streetwear company for fashion. So
I guess. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, like it just like it always works out for her. And then you have Rochelle that we're probably not gonna see Rochelle again for the rest of this season. Because she had played her purpose. She gave Zoe, like, you know, this internship. She made sure Zoe got it so Zoe could graduate. I promise you, we're not going to see Rochelle again. If we do, I'll be surprised. But that's her story. And basically, Zoe has no consequence. Yeah, you know, Rochelle cussed her out, and it was forced, like you said, but it was something that was needed. But at the same time, it's like now she literally had a moment where she was about to sort of break down and was sort of like, man, just leave. Please, just leave. Because first she was sort of like, oh, let me get out of here. But then it was like, man, you did me dirty, XYZ, just leave. And then it's like, that's the last thing we're going to see from Rochelle, probably for the rest of this series. And Zoe goes back to Aaron like nothing happened. And it's like, well, her dad's coming the next episode. I want to know her dad comes for, because it's like she done made a whole bunch of irresponsible decisions from dropping out and then coming back and then the Joy Badass storyline. All these different things. And you want to know something else too? Let me ask this, Jenae. And we didn't talk about this before. Did you watch Power Book 3 Raising Kanan this Sunday? It came out. Okay, I'm not going to spoil it. But I will tell you this. Joy Badass was in this show, right? And he was Joy Badass. Mm-hmm. That man can act.
Really?
Like Grownish, yes, he can act. And it shocked me because there was a point where I'm watching and I'm like, yo, is that Joey? I'm like, wait, that couldn't be that man. Because I knew it was only in the show. I'm like, now I know what Power does. Power switches up. Like they had Kendrick as a crackhead. You know, with 50 Cent and Kanan are very similar at this point. But you had MC Light was a lawyer. So you have like the guest stars that are on the show. Method Man's a lawyer. So it's like they'll normally switch up their persona. But it's like, okay, what's Joey gonna be in 1990? What is it gonna be? And I'm like, okay, he's this drug dealer. And I'm like, yo, his lines and his vernacular, how he's handling and carrying the scene, he's a good foil, you know what I'm saying, to Kanan's mom. And it's like, I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? Like, Joey was held back on Grownish. Mm-hmm. Like, Saweetie probably could be a better actress. She might be a Keke Palmer, and we just don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, we don't know because they're on a show that's so limited in what you can display from your acting ability. Like, it was so crazy how, like, and I'll give you a perfect example with the twins. The twins are my favorite characters. And I get it in real life. Hallie got to go chase that bag. and I salute her. Little Mermaid, we got to go check that thing out. But I just feel like even their characters have been slighted because Sky and Jazz were such interesting characters, and now their whole moment has been ruined. And then like with everyone, every character on that show, Vivek, Doug wasn't in this episode, but Vivek, to the Forrester twins, to Aaron, even to Yara's a better actress than this. This is not a diss to Yara. Yara is a better actress than this. Yara is deep in real life. She is powerful. She's poetic. That girl has range. She even showed some level of range in Blackish. If y'all remember, I always go back to the episode where Junior wanted to go out to that protest. And then like she had that moment where she was sort of trying to act careless, but then she sort of had like a little moment where it's like, no, I don't want you to get hurt. Like that was the level of range and emotion that she's shown that wasn't even shown here. So your response to being called a bitch is to like be like, oh, I thought that'd be a little bit worse. So that's real life. Oh, I thought she called me something a little bit worse. I thought she called me the scum of the earth. I thought she dragged me over this desk like we in the WWE. Like, really? So that's your response? I can be like, who you talking to? Or, oh, wow. But it's just like, oh, I thought that'd be worse. Well, okay. See you later, girl. I'm like, what? Like I just don't get it, Jenae. I just don't. And it's like just moving through it. Like Zoe freaking out over everything just is not character development. It isn't. And I wish that the writers would stop treating it like it is. It's not the basis for a story. And I told you this as we were doing the prep, is this. Like when I wrote my book of Queen's Pain, go get it on Amazon and hbpost.com. One of the devices that I used for the character of Raynetta was sort of like that anxiety type of vibe that we see from Zoe. Where it's like, oh, she's frantic and, you know, she's has these moments where she'll fall into, you know, this depression and feeling like she's inadequate. And, you know, Raynetta in the book, she wants to be Greek. She wants to be this campus queen. And she's running for this position. And she has these moments where it's so cyclical, where she goes through this level of feeling down about herself. Then she gets back up and goes back down. It's a plot device because it's an internal battle that she's going through that we're playing out on the page. But at the end of the book, you see at the very least a level of growth, even within the change of the organization that Raynetta wants to join. Go read the book just to hear more about it. But it's like, even I use that level of outrage, so I get it from a writing sense, but it has to be some level of growth. Even with what they tried to do, where she literally went to her job and confronted her job about something she already knew about, is like this. The level of growth is, I realized I did wrong. I need to just give her some space. Once again, Zoe made this about her. If you were going to give her space, give that girl space. Let that girl help you and move on. But it's still about her, and she just simply just hasn't grown, and it's so frustrating. Jenae, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. Let me ask you this, because you have been the defender of Grownish on these episodes for a minute, but you said this episode was slaw. Okay, coleslaw. We're going to call it coleslaw. So how do you think at this point, is episode 3, you saw episode 2, we're moving into Dre is going to make an appearance next episode, and then we're going to see the Black Lives Matter episodes that are inspired by George Floyd and everything that was going on in the summer of 2020. What do you think Grownish can do to get better?
What do I think Grownish can do to get better is a very loaded question in a sense, but I would say first, like, just let's just go back to school with it. Continuity. Like, make it make sense. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense. Like these characters' decisions don't make sense. And I get that, you know, we get older, we make dumb decisions, but at the same time, I feel like there's no wisdom behind these decisions. I feel like there's not a lot of thought behind it. And it makes me feel like they think young people are stupid because, you know, in every decision that young adults make, it literally shapes the rest of their lives. And I feel like these characters are just making aimlessly dumb decisions for no reason. Like, I remember one reason why, even though Jazz's heart wasn't into track, prior to that, she wanted to give it up for Doug. And now her and Doug aren't together. So now what's the reason for her to give it up? Like, if her heart's not in it, that's fine. But we haven't really explored why her heart's not in it. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and granted, your passions can change and everything, but we haven't even seen something that could have been different for her passion to change, you know? So one, I think continuity is a big thing that needs to happen for the show to change. Number two, I need them to talk about more than just relationships. Like me and my friends, we had this conversation yesterday. We're pre-stressing about, should I go to graduate school or should I just work? What grad school do I want to go to? This internship is offering me this. I want to get this fellowship. Like, I want to get this. I think I want to travel. I don't want to go to school. You know, I don't want to move back home. Like, just so many different things that me and my friends are currently pre-stressing about right now that we just had a conversation about. And that I even had with my other friends. And that's not being reflected in what I'm watching. Another thing that I think should change is one, the friend groups. Like, I just think that, first of all, I love all my friends, but majority of the friends I have now, some of them I didn't even meet to my sophomore year in college or until I joined the organization, and now I have sisters. So you got the same friends for freshman year and y'all don't get along. Y'all not really friends. The common denominator is Zoe, but Zoe and Luca not together, so why is Luca there? I mean, Doug is only really cool with Aaron and Vivek. He's not really cool with the girls like that, and him and Jazz not together, so he has no reason to talk to Zoe, no reason to talk to Anna, no reason to talk to Nomi. Nomi's pregnant, so she's kind of just there for the vibes in a sense.
And where the baby at?
Where's the baby at? Where is the baby at? Like, it's just a lot of things that just don't make sense, and I don't like that. I feel like it's not a deep show. It's very surface level, and young people truly have more going on outside of their relationships. Majority of my friends are single. I only have 2 friends that are even in relationships. So can we talk about something else, please?
Exactly. And like, does the baby go back to heaven for a little second and then come back down whenever Nomi's done counseling Zoe? Like, the baby just disappeared. So here's what I want to do, right? So I wish I had my CNN breaking news ticker, but I didn't have the time to pull it up because I was trying to pull up everything here. So I have some episode snippets or descriptions for the next, I think, few episodes. So we're going to be on this episode 3. So we have episode 4 that is going to be coming up. I think I found episode 4. Okay, yeah, I have episode 4. I have everything 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And it's going to be 2 other episodes. We don't have those descriptions. So spoiler alert for anybody watching, whether it's or listening on the podcast or whether it's YouTube. If you don't hear these episode descriptions, please tune away. Everybody on the Instagram live with us. Don't leave all at once. Just stay. You'll be fine. Don't have us where it's like, oh, dang, everybody left. But so let's talk about what's going to go on next week. So this is the synopsis. So after learning about his expulsion, Vivek dreads telling his parents about his failures. Dealing with the aftermath of Mexico, Dre questions Zoe's recent choices. Doug meets a new resident at Hawkins. So I think that Doug's going to meet a girl, because I forgot that there's this new girl that's joining, because we saw the guy that you know, of course, that Jazz spoke to. Was that Jazz spoke to that was running track. And I think that Doug is going to meet this girl. That's what I think is going to happen, because the other girl I saw, she's a series regular now. Dre's gonna come in and outact everybody. It's gonna be so funny. Like, he gonna come in and just literally take everybody's lunch at this point, just like how he did when he came in with the Luca thing. That's gonna be so fun when she dropped out or whatever happened. So here's when I think it gets interesting. And basically, I just watched the NBA Finals, right? So as you saw, the Bucks came down from 2-0 and they won the championship. Shout out to Giannis. Go check out my commentary on that on Post Radio. So this could be the moment where Grownish could become like the Bucks and then take us back and get us loving it again as they get canceled. They need to get canceled still. Okay, we'll talk about that later on. So here is the next episode 5. This is going to happen on August the 5th. A Boy is a Gun. I think that's a very interesting title. After an unarmed black man is shot by the police, the crew reacts in different ways to the news. Okay, see, look at what's about to read next. Keela and Doug butt heads when she wants to use his party to raise awareness. So it's going to be a party, and it's going to be a character named Keela that's going to come, and she's the new recurring actress that's going to be on the show. Watch me be right. Y'all keep this in mind, all right? So I think that's going to be an interesting episode, and I think we're going to see some dimension from Doug, and I feel as if we're going to get that Blackish style commentary, or not even going to Blackish, not even being lazy. Like the campus consent episode, that was good conversation. The genius episode, that was good conversation. The mental health episode, that was good conversation. So I don't necessarily hate Grownish for the sake of hating it. I'm not Skip Bayless to LeBron James. It's some episodes that I actually really liked and enjoyed. But that conversation is gone. So maybe, just maybe, episode 5, August the 5th, it comes back. But we'll see. All right. So then we move into the next one. So it's not just one episode. It's 2. So episode 6, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Could See. The crew hits the streets of Los Angeles to fight for racial justice and equality. Nomi confronts her white fragility. While Anna and Javi reach a boiling point in their relationship. So if you read the Complex article where they covered what's going to go on in Grownish these next few episodes, Anna and Javier are going to get into a battle over defunding the police. So I think Anna is going to take the place of where she's going to be pro-protest and pro-defunding the police, and Javier is going to take the conservative approach. So I think that could be a very nuanced episode. I would love to see Aaron have his place in that episode. I don't know. Is Zoe going to be in this episode? Is she going to just go back to Mexico? I wonder what's going to happen to her. Or maybe Yara comes out. Maybe Yara's like, listen, y'all, I'm not Zoe no more. We need to do X, Y, Z. So maybe that happens. But interesting premise. Interesting. I'm just saying. So then we move on to episode 7. Okay, we move on to episode 7, and this is August 19th. So y'all gonna be back in school. Y'all don't even be thinking about Grownish, man. Y'all gonna be like, we back on campus. Y'all not worried about no Grownish, but I will, because look at my life. Okay, like I got the time to watch Grownish at this point, so you know I'll be talking about it. So episode 7, when Zoe's ideas are used without credit by her boss, she debates on whether to speak up and risk her internship or sit silently. Jazz seeks medical leave from the track team by going to therapy. You see how they're gonna try to use this to talk about therapy. Aaron tries to make a good impression on who? The world may never know. Okay, so we're gonna see what happens on August the 19th, and this is the last episode that we have. So remember, from what we know, season 4 for right now is 10 episodes. So normally when it shrinks from 20 episodes to 10, that's a sign that they're about to get it out of there. They did the same thing with the game on BET. So we're going to see what happens. And maybe they might come back again and do like, the second part of season 4 in the winter, and that's their coronation. We'll see. But here's episode 8 on August 26th. After Luca calls out Zoe's boss on social media for stealing Zoe's ideas, Zoe tries to regain control over cancel culture, but things backfire. Jazz and Des grow closer as Jazz teaches herself to lean on Sky less. Okay, so Des is gonna be a character that pops up. It was Des the guy the new track guy. Okay, is he bisexual? Is he not gay? Why are they getting closer? Like, and then why they get closer? It's COVID. They just be further apart. But nevertheless, okay. COVID only exists in one building in Grownish. It only exists in the building where Zoe get her internship. Everywhere else, it don't exist. I get it. And in Mexico, it don't exist either. So these are the next few episodes that are coming up. All right. I think, and I want to get your take on it. I think that possibly going into A Boy with a Gun, there's going to be episode 5 after the one where Drake appears. I think August, they turn over a new leaf. I think in August, they get topical, they get timely, and we really start to delve into the storylines in a real way. And maybe, just maybe, Grownish saves itself and goes out on a good note before it gets canceled. Okay? I read all the synopsis. Everybody, like, tell your folks that left, that didn't want to hear. No one cares about Grownish as much. Everybody still stayed. Tell them to come back if they did, though. What do you think, Jenae? What do you think?
Well, I will say all the synopses do sound interesting, and I feel like it's not surface level topics, especially anything with Black Lives Matter, defunding the police, very heavy topics that were discussed during the summertime of the pandemic. So I think that's a really good thing to touch upon. I think that, of course, women in the workforce is a good thing to tackle on, especially because Zoe was just in the workforce. So seeing how she will combat getting her design stolen, especially like with over the pandemic. We've recently been seeing how companies such as Shein and other companies have taken Black creators' designs and have sold them on those sites and everything, and then they'll finally get outed for taking a Black creator's design. So I think that's a really good conversation to have, because that's a real thing. Like, a lot of Black creators' designs have been getting stolen. Even if you look on TikTok, like, these white creators, they'll stuff be getting shown on the for your the FYP page for your own page or whatever, but it was from a Black TikTok creator and they don't get credit for that. So I think there could be a really good conversation about that, especially like even in music, how Elvis Presley stole a lot of music from Black artists, you know. So I definitely think there can be a lot of good things out of these episodes and these topics. I'm even a fan of seeing Nomi challenging white fragility. I actually wrote a research paper on white fragility, but it's more in the film and TV space, not so much within like police brutality or in friend groups. But I think that would be a good thing to display too. Like, if you have a very diverse friend group, how do you guys have these conversations? Because I don't have any white friends. I just don't. So I don't have to, I don't really have that. I don't have white friends anymore. I'm sorry. So I don't have to have these conversations. But if you have a very eclectic friend group, how does those conversations work? And does your perspective change because you have these people in your life, or are you rigid? So there's a lot of different things that I feel like can be tackled. And I feel like if it's executed well, it could be really good. So maybe it will save itself. I'm not sure. I don't want to get my hopes up, because as a person who is a fan of the show, recently it's been getting hard, because it's like I'm not seeing any character development, anything of that nature. I'm not seeing topics being tackled for real. But I believe that these next few topics could be something great if executed correctly.
Right, and I just want to say that I don't have any white friends either. However, I did work in, can I say it predominantly white? I don't know, because it was 3 Black folks. I was the 3rd Black person, clearly. And it was like 3 white people. So I guess it was 50-50. You know what I'm saying? It was integration. Okay. Where I worked. And every time the topic of Donald Trump would come up, I would just conveniently put on my AirPods and just get to work, because I'm like, I don't got time to talk to y'all about that and all the different stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I don't know how those conversations went, because I blocked them out using my trusty fan white noise, because I would play a fan white noise in my ear when I focus. So I've had, I guess, similar experiences to that. But here's what I think about this 8th episode. So if you remember in the promo, you see Aaron check Luca and say, keep my girl's name out your mouth. And then Luca said, you should be stepping up. So this is Luca stepping up for Zoe. So what I think is this, reading this synopsis, I think that episode 8 is where they fumble the bag. It's almost like it's Tennessee State versus Jackson State, Southern Heritage Classic. And it's like Tennessee State, Jackson State, they get the ball, interception, and they running for a pick 6. And then you get almost there to the end zone and you trip and fumble the ball. And then the other team gets it and runs it back in for a touchdown. That's what I think is going to happen at this point, because they cannot resist it. It's like kryptonite. Like, it's like a mouse trap where you got cheese on the trap and the mouse gonna go in there knowing well they gonna get caught. I feel like the relationship angle is just there. I think, and this might happen, I think that Zoe falls back in love with Luca for Luca standing up for her.
I hope that's not the case. That's dumb, because I can see why he would stand up for her, just because he is a designer. So I can see it from a designer standpoint. Okay, I'm gonna stand up for her as a fellow Black designer. We are, even though we're not cool no more as a designer, I'm gonna stand up for her. And I just think it's wrong. So, like, I hope it's just that angle. It would be really dumb for them to just go back to the whole Luca versus Aaron and everything. I would be so pissed off, actually. Because why?
I feel it. No, I feel it, but it's there. I feel as if they don't know who they want to put Zoe with. So I think that this is what breaks up Aaron and Zoe. I think that, that aspect and them getting into it with each other, and maybe Zoe's like, why are you getting into it with my ex? You're doing too much. I think this is what breaks them up. Almost a rehash of what happened, with the Cash and Luca situation. I feel like this might be something that breaks them up and leads her back to Luca. Like, I just think that they don't know how to pair Zoe, and they don't really know how to grow Zoe, because on Blackish, they made her limited outside of a couple times where she wasn't. They didn't give her a lot of character. They didn't give her a lot of character development on Blackish. So I think that they're limited to a certain degree. But I think that this is when, they drop the ball. And it just goes into the whole entire thing of where they had Ryan Destiny, they dropped the ball. They've had amazing storylines that they didn't make it happen. And then even with the cancel culture situation, I just want to see how they tackle cancel culture, because that's a very Blackish type of topic, and Blackish might have covered that. You know what I'm saying, with cancel culture. I think that, granted, the world covered cancel culture when Chris Brown was on Blackish. The world sort of did that for Key Barris, and then when they talked about why is Chris Brown on a family show. That was a different thing with the Uvu situation. But yeah. I mean, it's interesting enough. I don't know. And I feel the same way that you do. So let's do this. Okay. So we, like someone said in the comments, they said we give all the tea information on Grownish. We try. Okay. We definitely try. And we gave y'all a lot of exclusives right now. All right. So, and by the way, I'm not going to hold out. Go to Rotten Tomatoes and you'll see the synopsis. Okay. Just go to Rotten Tomatoes, click Grownish, and see all the fresh tomatoes of the folks that's lying about it being good. And then just click season 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was in my bank account at this point. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll see all the synopsises at this point. But let me ask you this, Jenae. So you said the episode was slaw. Okay. You started with that. So what's your rating for it?
My rating is actually like literally a 2 out of 10. I'm giving it a 2 just because, I mean, it was shot nice. I mean, it's usually shot nice. Like, it's not nice, but storyline was trash. It was honestly a boring show. Like, I woke up, I remember Randall texted me and he was like, "You ready for the show?" I was like, "Oh, it's Thursday. It's time to watch." It's time to watch Grownish. I'm like, okay. So I actually woke up from my nap to watch the show, and I was so bored. I'm like, I'm either really tired or if this is just a very boring episode. Like, it was boring. I think the dialogue was forced. I believe that even when Zoe was trying to make things right with Rochelle, or however you want to call it, it was with a selfish intent. And that shows a lack of character development and lack of growth in her. And I just personally didn't like the fact that she literally had a whole AKA fit on. Like it's a Wednesday. Like, is you finna go to the courtyard? Like, what are you doing? So definitely a 2 out of 10. Only giving it a 2 because I just like the way it was shot. Per usual, it's always shot well. So
it is, and I think Grownish won an award recently for their cinematography or their lighting.
Yeah,
and I was like, Grownish won an Emmy, but I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. I have no problem with that because it's shot beautifully. This episode was shot well. But and they've had Zoe dressed like a mannequin, man. So I hope they don't win for costume anymore. I'll tell you. But if you give it a 2 out of 10, like it gets a negative 1908 from me at this point. like, at this point, man, because it's like, dog, like it's not good. It's just not good. Like, I don't want to just go over everything that I mentioned already, but it's just not good, man. I'm sorry. Like, and I know I said this when I did the recap and my quick thoughts on last week. I know I'm not the demographic. Like, dude, I was watching the NBA Finals. But I had time to watch Grownish too. I run an HBCU page. I'm like, might as well, content. Might as well. So I know they're not saying, what does Randall think? What do the guys in the barbershop think about us? Like, they don't care. How do we get these folks to watch the NBA Finals and watch Grownish? I'm pretty sure they don't care about what we think. But at the same time, as a creative, as a writer, as someone that does this media thing and knows that, the sensitivity of how you handle, the image of Black women, the image of institutions, the image of college life, and even being confronted with it at certain cases within running an HBCU page of, you're not covering this school enough, you're not doing this enough. Like, being confronted with some feelings that people feel about how I do business, how I do things. It's like, I can see where Kenya Barris is coming from. And I'm like, dude, like, I just want you to be great. All I wanted Grownish to be, I didn't want it to be a different world. And if I said that, I shouldn't have said that. I don't want it to be a different world.
For me, I probably, because I did want it to be my different world, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm a big fan of Blackish. I still am a big fan of Blackish. Like, I watched it all the time in high school. I still watch it to this day. And Zoe was actually one of my favorite characters. I always used to say, if me and Zoe, like in real life, me and Zoe would have been best friends. Like,
oh no, y'all would. No, y'all, we would have hated that girl.
Not now. But I used to say that all the time when I was younger, because like I saw myself in her, and I'm a big fan of Yara Shahidi. Like, our birthdays are a day apart. She's my Aquarius sister.
You told me, yeah.
Like, I've always been a big fan of her. And then when I saw that a college show was coming out and it was starring a Black woman. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be our different world, because that's what even inspired me to go to an HBCU. And then they did a heavy promo on it. And of course, there was a debate of, okay, should it be HBCU or PWI? And granted, they did go the PWI route, which I disagree, but whatever. And then we get to it, it's just like, it's relationships. It's, okay, you got these people from different backgrounds, but they don't really coincide with one another. Like, they really don't intersect well. And I would probably say I may have given that pressure for it to be the next different world. And maybe that was a mistake, because certain shows like that are once in a lifetime shows. Nobody will ever be able to recreate that, especially the time in which it was produced. Yeah, we don't live in those times anymore.
Yeah, and the times were very interesting because of the fact, and granted, we're sort of living in a recreation of it, but also you couldn't be limited to, social media. Cat Cash defended his girlfriend being called a slut or whatever. Like, you couldn't do those simple storylines back then, because like they had phones on the walls. They had to pay for the phone. You know what I'm saying? So, and like, so it's like you couldn't do those simple storylines. And in defense of Grownish and Kenya Barris and them, the reason why they didn't do an HBCU show, because they didn't want to make it a Cosby Show different world thing. Now, they did the Junior at Howard thing, and I felt like they dropped the ball with that one. I think that Junior going to Howard would have been different if they would have gotten that clearance to shoot at Howard, use Howard's likeness, which I feel like Howard would have went for that. As we see them have a whole all-star team down there, like they would have went for that. But I wanted it to be a different world, but I think what I wanted it to be more so, I want it to be its own thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to carve out its own niche, because I think that just the cast was full of young heavyweights. And then you bring in Diggy too. You bring in Diggy, and Diggy's someone that all the girls were liking, and he already had that cachet with us. You bring Trevor straight off Burning Sands, and then that was a college movie that was actually very gritty and really good. And very, very controversial at that time, but not as controversial as it could have been. I think it would have been worse now. Like like it would have blown up if it was out now. But you bring him in from Burning Sands. You bring Halle and Chloe, and they're growing into these superstars. Then you have these actresses that and also actor and Vivek that are not all that much known quantities, but they have a lot of talent. I was really excited just to see where they went with it. I was really excited. But it just they usurped the expectation, and I just wanted it to be a topical show where I could laugh about Donald Trump, about voting, and all these different things. And it was that to a certain degree. And I think season 2 they caught a stride, even though it was moments that I hated, like the whole entire storyline with the party with Doug being there. I hated that storyline, her having a panic attack over her cell phone. And also her friends not talking to her, like that was, but I mean, but at the same time, I think that it was good enough. But to me, Grownish just dropped the ball, because I think that they don't respect the viewer. They don't respect, and because like I said, they don't care about me, but they don't respect you, Jenae, because they don't respect you. They don't respect the young lady that was in here that said she's a fan. Her name is Zoe, and she's a fan of Grownish. I don't know if she's still in here on the live. They don't respect her. They don't respect the girls that are in college. They don't respect, and they don't respect the religion. They don't respect folks that's been raped. They don't respect folks that have STDs. They don't respect folks that are part of the LGBTQ community. They don't respect these folks. And they're like, we're just going to write something, and it's just going to pop off because we're a part of Disney, because it's free form. We're the only show on the market right now, and it's just going to be straight. And there's no competition, because Disney's a powerhouse. And the one thing you have is BET with the quad, and they canceled that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to move into the final question before we leave. And I'll start off, because clearly I've talked about Grownish being canceled. I think that Grownish should be canceled. I think that at the very least, if you don't want to cancel it, fine. End it this season. It's been 4 years. We don't want to see Zoe anymore. Give everybody else a different show. Like, let's just do All American Homecoming. And if that's bad, we'll get on that. If that's bad, like we're not gonna be like, oh wow, it's an HBCU. If it's a bad show, we'll get on it. You know what I'm saying? If it's good, we'll say so. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like there's nothing more to accomplish here. If you're not gonna try, and you're gonna continue to do these tired storylines about relationships, these tired dialogue, the actors aren't trying, and then you're just killing Vivek. Vivek only had like a couple good episodes. The one we was about cultural appropriation, and I will even throw you a bone with the one about, you know, basically sexual fluidity. I'll give you that one. That was at the very least compelling, although it was sort of male bashing. I'll give you that one. It was different. You know what I'm saying? But he hadn't had any real episodes for real. And now you have a storyline to really get him in. We ain't seen his girlfriend. He's getting suspended. He has these weird moments where you're trying to make him the Charlie of Grownish, and it just simply doesn't work. I just think that at this point, they're not passionate about it anymore. So if you're not passionate about it, leave it alone, cancel it. Let's move on to the next thing. Or maybe you let Yara move on. Let her be an EP. Let her go to, is she still at Harvard? Let her go to Harvard. Those some hard classes over there. Let her get her degree. Give her an EP situation. And just do it. Just start over. Do it with Anna and them, just like the episode 10 of season 3, how they did it. Mm-hmm. I think it should be canceled. But Jenae, what do you think at this point as a fan, as a member of the demographic? What do you think?
Well, I definitely think that the first step in when you create content is you create it for the, like, whoever is watching your show should feel reflected in what they watch. That's the biggest reason for why representation is important. That's why I believe that he even started this franchise of Blackish, Mixedish, and Grownish, is that so people of this generation can feel reflected in the shows that they watch and be reflected positively. And I just don't feel like that's happening anymore. Like, I think it had a good intention. It started out with, that was the, you know, the goal and everything, to have a young, beautiful Black woman who's intelligent on a screen, and different things of that nature, comes from a good home, you know, positive and everything of that nature. However, I think the show has just gone down and it hasn't really done its purpose. And I feel like if you haven't even done your purpose, or if you don't feel like you're living in your purpose, or if it's no longer serving the people that is supposed to really enjoy the content, then why are we doing it? So I definitely think that this needs to be the last season. I don't want to say cancel it right now, because, you know, people need their checks. So I definitely would say end it out with a bang. Hopefully end it out with a bang and just keep it pushing. You know, let everybody kind of go their separate ways. Let this be the show to launch all of their careers indefinitely, and kind of go from there. I think the show has just gone downhill. I don't feel like there's any passion behind it. I don't feel represented anymore. I feel like they're talking about very surface level topics, and I just don't know who this is for. Because, like, even in my personal friend groups, like I said, we were just pre-stressing yesterday about grad school, life after college, and everything of that nature. And those things aren't even being tackled. They could have at least tackled, oh, Aaron got a job and he's moving away. Is Zoe going to follow him? Like, because that happens in real life. People follow each other when they're in relationships and everything of that nature. So, in conclusion, I don't feel like the show is truly serving the market. I don't feel like it's really good at this point. I think it's going downhill and it needs to end. And we're not asking for it to be a different world. We're asking for it to be good and to be representative of something, and it's not. So what are we doing this for?
Exactly. So overall, I guess the general consensus, I think it should end. But I will say this, for people that think I hate Grownish, I don't. I just want it to be better. Like, cause you have your hot takes. You know, I'm a student in sports media, so you have your hot takes. I don't necessarily hate Grownish. I hate where it's gone. And I just want it to be better. But looking at these episode synopsis, starting on August the 5th, I think it could go a really great direction. I really do.
Agreed.
I'm willing to give it a shot. August the 5th. I'll let you have July the 29th. That might be a little freebie, because you're going to have Anthony Anderson there. Anthony Anderson has become an amazing actor.
Oh, my God.
He's really grown. Because he used to be just the comedic punchline. I remember my first time seeing Anthony Anderson was in Agent Cody Banks 2 Destination London. Like, I don't know if have you seen that? You saw that?
My first time seeing him was All About Benjamins. Like, that was my first.
Well, you had a different childhood than me then. Wait a minute. Because Agent Cody Banks 2 was left. Like, well, watch that now. Wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
a Law and Order. Like, back in the day, he was on Law and Order. Like, I've watched all those old episodes. So, like, that was my first. Like, just a big comedic relief. And now he's like a real serious, heavy playing actor. He's been getting awards left and right.
Yes.
Getting commercial deals. Like, he's one of those people who's gotten better as he's gotten older, you know?
Right. Like hosting Jimmy Kimmel and doing like a really good job. Like, he's become, like, even with Grownish ending, he's become one of the faces of ABC. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So, he's just done an amazing job. He's really rebranded himself. So I think that he's gonna give us a really good episode just with the tension between him and Zoe. And then August the 5th, I expect for things to be better. But I will say this, and I can say this confidently now, that I complain about Grownish, but I'm confident to say I do have an alternative coming. I'm confident to say. Very confident. And Jenae's like, what are you talking about? Like, I got it. I got some. I'll tell you about it offline. But we're gonna announce it in August. It's something coming with Pulse, with Queen series, with everything that we're doing. We got some stuff coming. You know what I'm saying? So y'all gonna see our interpretation of what media is really soon if we get some things to fall through for us. But I can confidently say that now after some talks we had today. So just stay tuned for that. And today's like, what is this? Like she like, wait a minute. Like for the podcast on, she's over here like, wait, we are what we doing? We gonna start on Grownish? No, we're not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but maybe not yet. But overall, Jenae, I think this was great. This is a great conversation. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
All right, y'all. So y'all can follow me at nae.themogul on Instagram. That's nae.themogul. And then on Twitter, you can follow me at naethemogul.
Love it. Love it. Well, Jenae, great job on tonight. And I guess we'll be back next week, right? We'll be back?
Yep. Yeah, we'll be back next week.
We'll see what's going on. Bye, Jenae. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Bye.